Are you looking for the very best new mobile games to play in 2023? Well, my friends, you're in luck because I prepared this fantastic list of 4 games I reviewed myself, 4 games that were covered on my games discovery platform MiniReview, and 6 very promising games that are so new that I haven't even had a chance to review them yet. And I think you're gonna love these games. And hey, if I were you guys, I would stick around for a giveaway for no less than 2 awesome mobile games at the end. And let's then dive into the most interesting new mobile games of 2023. Up first, I've got one of the only co-op first-person shooter games to release this year, called Payday Crime War. It's a PvE heist game that originally released on PC, and this mobile port has controller support, online co-op, a 4 vs 4 PvP mode, and lots of weapons and outfits to unlock. It still remains to be seen exactly how the monetization plays out and whether this game can attract a large enough player base, but I'm pretty excited to take it for a spin this week. Now the next game is LEGO Bricktales, which I hope to do a full review of soon, because this is a port of a PC puzzle adventure game with great reviews on Steam, and it's sold for just $5 without any additional in-app purchases. I think what excites me the most about this game is that we have to solve each puzzle by building Lego creations from our own imagination, basically like the physical Lego game, and it honestly just looks amazing. Before we get back to more of those quickfire game recommendations, it's now time to get excited if you've ever played Peggle and you enjoy roguelite games, because that's basically what Roundguard is. Like in most roguelites, our goal is to survive several dungeon rooms and eventually defeat the badass boss waiting at the end, all without dying even once, of course. Each of these dungeon rooms consist of Peggle-like levels that we win by defeating all the enemies while collecting as much gold as possible. But then it gets even better, at least for an RPG fan like me, when the RPG elements come in the form of abilities that we can use to better help us survive and gear that we gradually unlock to help us grow stronger. The game even has a decent amount of replayability thanks to its 4 distinct character classes, its daily puzzles, and its weekly speedrun mode. It's a $7 premium game and is one of my personal favorite new games this year, so I hope you'll enjoy it as well. Now, in one of my recent videos, I mentioned that Limbus Company had released, and now I've finally had a chance to play it and review it, so here's what I like and dislike about this large team-based strategy game. So let's start with the positives, which are that the game has a neat story-driven campaign, the combat system is one of the most complex and deep systems I've ever seen in a mobile game, and while the monetization does include several in-app purchases for unlocking heroes, the entire game can be completed as a free player. On the other hand though, the biggest downsides are that there are almost too many story-based cutscenes to get through, which leads to lots of long loading screens. And the menu UI is some of the worst I've seen recently. I don't get it. I don't get why they didn't optimize this. Oh, and the game is really hardcore, as in really hardcore, so you've been warned. At the end of the day though, the combat doesn't just feel like a pure numbers game, and that's something very unique, unfortunately these days, that I know many will love about Limbus. So if you enjoy hardcore strategy RPGs, definitely check it out. One of the super interesting games that were covered on MiniReview last month is the beautiful retro-styled roguelike arcade shooter called Wavecade. What makes this one different from all the other games out there though is that we can pull our ship towards the bottom of the screen to slow down time and better avoid bullets, or we can push it forward to speed up and gain better rewards in the game. We also unlock temporary power-ups and weapons as we go, and before we know it, the screen is full of bullets and projectiles everywhere, so it really is a true bullet hell game. The gameplay is incredibly satisfying, and the 80s vibe perfectly fits the genre of game, so if you've got $4 to spare, be sure to check it out. Now, after giving away some keys for it in my last video, Legend of Keepers also got reviewed recently, and I'm curious to hear what those of you who actually got a key think about it if you played it, so let me know down below. The game itself is an offline playable dungeon management roguelite, where we play as the bad guys and we have to stop the heroes that are trying to steal the treasures hidden deep inside our dungeons. So the way that plays out is that the gameplay is made up of lots of stages that each force us to make management related decisions, such as hiring and training new monsters or sending them out to retrieve valuable artifacts. In between these events, we then head into combat to defend ourselves from the attacking heroes, and this part of the game is turn-based. The only real downside of this game is that we can't link the mobile version to the Steam version of the game, but for $7 it's absolutely worth checking out, and especially if you enjoy roguelites, dungeon management, and a good bit of random number generation. We're gonna move back to the quick recommendations now though, because in March of 2023, the city building game Settlement Survival also got ported to mobile, and people are loving this game on Steam, so I actually have high hopes for this mobile version. According to the early reviews I've seen of this game on mobile, the controls can be a bit tricky, but the game itself seems super solid, and best of all, it's one of the 2 games I'm gonna give away some keys for at the end of this video. Now, if you enjoy 2D platforming games, you might have already heard about the Super Cattails games, and just a few weeks ago, we got a new new one called Super Cat Tales PAWS. To be honest with you guys, the developer of these games makes some of the best cute platforming games on mobile, and I'm pretty sure this newest entry won't be a letdown, so you might want to check it out. At the very end of April this year, the developers of Alto's Adventure also released their newest game, Laya's Horizon, as a Netflix exclusive mobile game, and it's just fantastic. The game basically has us fly around a large 3D island to participate in minigames, find secret areas, perform tricks, and much more. It's one of those relaxing, almost zen-like gameplay experiences, and I can best compare the flying mechanic to that found in Sky, Children of the Light. I really enjoyed playing this one, but the biggest downside is that you do need a very beefy phone to play it without lagging, even if you do have access to Netflix. Now, you might already know that I love myself a good Vampire Survivors alternative, and last month I tried a new one called Pickle Pete, which basically plays like a mix of the combat system of Brotato and the overall permanent progression of Archero. So just like in Brotato, we can equip 6 weapons at a time, which of course quickly makes the combat chaotically fun, but what really sets the game apart are its many different game modes. Because in addition to the normal stages where we attempt to survive 10 waves of enemy attacks, we've also got a daily mission mode, a competitive endless mode, and several challenge modes that honestly are almost entire minigames on their own. In between runs, we also gradually improve our character through stat boosts, new equipment, and gear upgrades, and as someone who loves role-playing games, I quite like that. The downside to all of this is that the monetization system includes an energy system and many different in-app purchases, but thankfully you don't really need any of those to still enjoy the game. Now, in just a bit, we're gonna get to 2 really cool games that released in March and April this year, but before we get to that, I wanted to try something new and share with you guys 2 games that have completely flown under my radar, even though they aren't exactly new anymore. The first of those is the $3 premium game Retro City Rampage, which is a super fun GTA parody that released all the way back in 2016, but still gets updated. The other game is Pinball Deluxe Reloaded, which I gotta say really threw me back to my days of playing that old 3D pinball game from Windows XP. Ah, those were the days, right? The game can easily be enjoyed as a free player, and it's absolutely the best pinball game I've ever tried on mobile, although it also released in 2016. A much more recent release, however, is GnollHack, which is a fun variant of the famous retro roguelike called NetHack. This is admittedly a very deep cut, but for those who enjoy these types of roguelike RPGs, it's a great game that is definitely worth checking out. It's also completely free without any ads or in-app purchases, so if you're curious about these old school NetHack-like games, you can't really go wrong with this one. Now, in late April, the developers of Agent A Puzzle in Disguise, also released their newest game, the isometric puzzle adventure game Down in Bermuda. This is a cute casual game played on a large 3D island that we rotate around to look for interactive objects, minigames, and puzzle clues. It's a $5 premium game, and the biggest downside is that it is a rather short game, but ultimately it provides a great puzzle solving experience that I'm sure anyone fond of quality adventure games will most likely enjoy. But now, my friends, it is giveaway time, because I've got 5 keys for the music rhythm game Rotano, which is one of the most popular music games on iOS, and 3 keys for Settlement Survival to give away to you guys. It's all thanks to the publisher of these games called XD Network. They're not a sponsor, by the way, but they reached out, I asked for some keys for you guys, and they said yes, so here we are yet again with a giveaway. Just like last time, to win one of these, all you have to do is reply to my latest tweet that I've linked down below using the word music, and the first 8 replies with the word music in it will get one of these keys. Check out this video next for the very best co-op games to play with your friends on mobile, and I'll see you there in a sec.